Bitcoin has just printed a pretty horrible bearish candle. Broken a key level, and more importantly, momentum is slowly shifting again to the bearish side. Well, here's the thing. People get a bit caught up in the emotions, they panic sell, or they try and chase the top set levels of resistance, which is not ideal. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing, how I'm seeing the market, just so you know. Zero hopium. Let's get into it. So the first thing we've got to talk about is the obvious in the room, is we have had a huge institutional pullout. Oh dear. This is a bit of an issue. So we always talk now about the traditional market in terms of ETF inflows and how that's changed the game. And we're having one of its worst weeks of 2025 with a $751 million outflow. Yes, it's not ideal. A lot of red flags, a lot of bearish sentiment. And that is the thing. We talked about it before in previous videos. If it is bearish, it probably is bearish. Even though you are the most biggest bull in the world, you will find that if they're pulling out, you've got to be careful. So even though I was relatively bullish on Monday, we've rejected those key levels. Those sentiment around the daily candle closures didn't happen and we didn't break through. And now we're getting some more issues. I will add to this in a second. One main reason as well here. Nvidia has been a real big driver of risk on, risk off currently with how big it is with the ETFs and, you know, the S&P 500 and all that kind of stuff, right? But it has had a massive, massive jump recently. And the data came out and, well, news came out that they were going to do basically they're going to move out of China, so to speak, and they're going to start building their chips on US soil. Don't know how and when that's all going to happen, but the market didn't really like that news. And that's what's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen next. The markets don't like uncertainty, and we are following the S&P. Problem. And the final bit of news I want to cover today, and it's more about, you know, analytical stuff really, is the top in. Let me know in the comments what you think. Seriously, I asked that question today. This is a graph here from the Crypto Quant founder and CEO, right? And it basically demonstrates a little bit that maybe there's too much supply for demand. So, very bearish, very risk off at the minute. So yeah, this could hit hard. This could be horrible. If this is the top, we could be in trouble. Let's look at the technicals. I want to say one thing. When institutions pull back, you need to pay attention where the smart money is going and not where the YouTube thumbnails are pointing. We all know what I mean by that, right? Now, the reality is here, on Monday's video, I was speaking about a potential change of character and I'm going to go and retest those highs. I still believe we are going to go and retest something up there because there will be some bullish news that will catch people off guard and that will continue us going a little bit higher. My overall belief at the minute is we are still in a bearish trend, right? The situation that we have is everything else is collapsing around it, which is becoming a bit of a problem. So let's talk about the technicals. We still have this change character in play. We're still kind of up here, and this is a bit of a horrible rejection currently. We are still in the neutral zone, so to speak, on the RSI, which isn't great, but we could be looking at lower levels. Let's be honest here. The one and most obvious one would be around these kind of structure points, but maybe a bit lower as well, in and around and retesting this $79,000, $78,000 level. That is the situation. It's not horrible, but it certainly is a little bit of a shift from what it was looking like at the start of the week. That is a bit of an issue. Now, again, we got to look at other economic turmoil. Gold is absolutely going berserk. That is showing and indicating potential red flags that something is happening that we don't quite like as investors. And that's the situation we've got to look at. And the market is telling you to cool it down a little bit on the bullish bias because structure is broken, momentum's fading, and dominance data is showing it. But I'm using gold to showcase something here. We need to be waking up to that idea. And that's a situation. I want to know, where do we go next? And it's quite hard to find that out. And it really is. But what we do know is, let's talk about it. Let's be brutally honest with ourselves. Bitcoin dominance is rising. The shift in Bitcoin is relatively okay, but altcoins are getting punished. You know my yesterday's video. I talked about it. no alt season, right? You didn't like that video, most people on the comments. And that's a situation. People will always push back against viewpoints that they don't like. And I understand that. And even this video here, you might not like it, but I'm just telling you what it is in terms of what I'm looking at from my nearly 10 years of experience of investing right now. So it's quite a while to be in the market and to understand these things. But the problem is, gold is shooting, the dollar is dropping, Bitcoin is relatively stable-ish, but in a bearish kind of trend. Nothing horrible. But we need to look at other things as well. The S&P 500, for example here, is somewhat rejecting these EMAs again, and we're slowly maybe going backwards again. There is still uncertainty around the world of tariffs. By the way, you've probably noticed I've done 3 videos this week. If you like this sort of stuff, please do leave a like. I want to know if you're liking it. I want to know if this is going to hit the algorithm right. Comment and just let me know. Just let me know. That's all I want to know. Now, I said at the start of the video, what am I doing? Well, I've actually gone short on Ondo currently. Not the best entry in the world, I can see that now. But realistically, multiple rejections at this point, and the altcoin market looks a bit cooked. Even if we are going to get a bit of a bounce in Bitcoin, the altcoins are not really doing much. I like to trade swings, sometimes I like to positional hold, and I'm trying to get more on board with that instead of scalping or day trading, just because it fits my lifestyle. If you are interested in trading, by the way, you can use the link below. You get 20% back on fees, by the way. I know it's a bit of a plug, but ultimately you get paid for it, which is great, which is quite nice. But moving on. I'm looking more bearish on the altcoins currently, as you know, because realistically I haven't kept up. There is some really interesting levels in altcoins, which is important. And we've got to look at the bigger picture here. If Bitcoin is going to continue to drop a little bit and go into retest these levels or go a bit sideways, altcoins are probably going to get a bit boring. And I've been looking at other entries as well. I was looking at Solana as a potential long, but it looks like a bit of a failure here. As in the EMAs are not crossed over. We've not got above this zone here, a breakout. We're going back into these kind of bearish levels, and it's not looking fun. Likewise with Hype, I was looking at potential entries in and around this area or a breakout of this zone to go higher. I just feel like we're starting to cool off from this leg up, and we're going to go and find where we're going to go next very, very soon, hopefully, fingers crossed. But right now, I'm trying to keep it kind of simple. Simple, stupid is the best way to do it. There's not a lot really grabbing the attention in terms of ultimate trends to the upside right now. It may well be a retest of resistance and going lower. And I talked about Polkadot on my X account. Like, we could be looking at this going into the $2 levels, as this is potential rejection going down into these zones. That is mental when you think about how low some of these assets are. Now, I know people will look at me and go, oh, but there's opportunity there to buy. But yeah, but this is where also traders and investors will get chopped up, chasing the moves after key levels and stuff like that. You need to get correct with your patience versus predictions. And, you know, many times you can look at my content and I've been majorly bullish on a lot of things, and it just hasn't been, and, you know, it hasn't materialized as a good thing. That is the situation we find ourselves in. So we need to be very, 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 very careful. But if you do want to learn, if you want to learn how to trade, how to invest, or get a bit better, this is my company, 30-day 3 trial. Jump in, get the education content, jump in the community, crack on. It's great. But I will say it is very different to Patreon. Patreon and this are very, very separate. But what I will say is don't fight the trend, don't chase the pumps, let the data guide you in your analysis. You've got to look at the bigger picture. If it's a downtrend, it probably is a downtrend, funny enough. I know a lot of people like to go against the grain, but sometimes you get destroyed. Yeah, watch this video I'm recommending, might help you.